All right, please welcome back Mr. Mick Foley.
Thank you. Technically, I was medically broken in half. So feeling okay now. Hey, thanks for being here, everybody. This is I do tend to tell every place I'm in that it's great to be here, right here. And then I found out when I said the words, great to be right here in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Look myself in the mirror. It's not particularly great to be there. So, but it's always great to be here, right here in Western Pennsylvania, Monroeville, Pittsburgh area. So thanks for coming out to see me and be part of this panel. Thanks.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Do you want to get right to questions? Hang out, have some stories? What have you been up to?
Yeah, well, hey, man, it's been a tough 18 months, right, for all of us. Yeah. But it's nice to see people out here. It's nice to be among people. I just started making appearances last weekend. Wow. It's just nice to see faces and just appreciate your support. Just one of these wrestling-type stories. You can vouch for me, right?
Absolutely.
Where I said, oh, wait, hold on a second. I forgot something. And so when I came back in, what did you think I said?
I thought you said, let me go check and see if she found my keys.
Yeah, it wasn't keys. It was let me go see and check and see if she found my teeth. And so luckily when I went back into the green room, they were lying there on the table. And so now Dr. Britt Baker is going to be here on Sunday. And Dr. Britt Baker is eventually going to fix these Foley teeth that I lost here, right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 23 years ago. Yeah. There you go. All right, yeah, let's throw it to questions.
Okay.
I haven't been watching as much wrestling as I did for the last 40-something years, so I might not be as knowledgeable about the current product as a lot of you are. So keep that in mind if you're asking about current situations. And I never saw Haku fight in a bar, so I don't have an answer to that question. And the rest is fair game.
Yeah. All right. And we're going to actually be using the chat cube.
Wow. This is revolutionary, right?
It is revolutionary.
So you're going to throw this out to the audience.
Yes.
And then it's up to you guys and women, men and women alike, to pass it to the correct person.
Well, you hope
hopefully I will throw it to the correct person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I mean, if it doesn't make it, if you don't have pinpoint accuracy.
Oh, absolutely. All right.
Hey, can I get one of those chairs instead of this folding thing? Would you mind?
Oh, absolutely. Let me hook you up.
The last time I asked someone for a chair in Pennsylvania, it didn't work out too well.
There you go.
For those of you who don't know, Google Mick Foley or Cactus Jack chairs, Philadelphia, and you will be...
There you go. So here you go.
Surprised.
First question. Here we go.
There the night on June 28th,
Prove
1998.
Prove it. I've personally spoken to more people than could have fit in that building who claim they were there.
My friend still has his
ticket
stub. My friend does.
Oh, how convenient that your friend has your ticket stub.
It's actually on here. It's on my phone.
I believe you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
But that was the gutsiest performance I've ever seen in the ring.
Thanks.
And I just wanted to ask you, what injuries did you sustain that night?
Oh, man. I have to tell you, we always came up through the business. I'm not sure if some of you heard my trainer, Dominic DiNucci, passed away. Great, a Pittsburgh legend and a real dear friend. And I woke up today to find out that news. But, it was kind of instilled in me, that love for the business and the idea that you just do whatever you can to get across the finish line in whatever way possible. And so that's, I think, what I'm proudest of is that Undertaker and I found a way to kind of get through that finish line. And in doing so, kind of walked our way into the pages of wrestling history as well. So injury-wise, now he had a broken foot going into the match. Oh, what I was going to say about protecting the business. So you're always very sensitive to people throwing around the F word, right? And then it got to a point where people became so concerned about me that I then had to reassure them that I wasn't getting that badly hurt every night, So People magazine came out doing a story on me, and they were like, they ran through the list of injuries. And I go, yeah, but most of those happened in one night. So that was the Hell in a Cell where I believe I dislocated my jaw and one of my shoulders, I think my right shoulder. I got a concussion, bruised kidney, and 14 stitches under my lip, and then I lost 2 teeth that were put back in with the help of a glass of milk. Here's a bonus question. Anyone raise a hand, show of hands? Anyone remember where one of those teeth ended up? Go ahead. In my nose. That's correct. I would not think any less of you if you just took off after hearing that. If you're here like you're a casual fan or you just want to see what this wrestling panel's like, the dude had a tooth in his nose? Yes, I did. That's right. And when I did my 20 Years of Hell show in Pittsburgh, 20 years to the day, that was in in 2018, the doctor who was on hand at the ER room, he was there that night, and he asked me about my teeth, and he said, how long did they stay in? About 8 to 10 years? I said, yeah. And at that point, they started turning colors and decaying, and we eventually had to get them pulled. So there was a handful of injuries, and they stuck around about 6 or 8 weeks before I started feeling like myself again. But I only missed 3 days of work, so I'm pretty proud of that too. Yeah.
All right. I got to back up because I got to throw this.
Okay. Excellent.
I recently watched the WWE where they were going around getting the collectibles. Is there something that you wish you had from anybody as a collectible that you'd say, that?
From somebody else? You made it.
Yeah.
Right. From someone else.
Yes.
You know, I wish I had Bruiser Brody's boots. I do. Brody was one of my heroes. I wish I had those great stomping boots of his. But I don't even collect my own stuff. You know, it's in boxes, and you know, I gave a lot of it away to people, especially children with special needs. So I was at the house of a young man with cerebral palsy to whom I'd given the first ever Dude Love shirt, and I was just watching Raw with him. I've known him almost 20 years, and he's got that original Dude Love shirt hanging on in a frame on his wall, and I can't help but thinking, like, okay, on one hand, I'm glad I gave that item to that young man, but on the other hand, that would be worth a lot of money right now. I was watching that show. That one guy, he didn't even blink when they offered him $5,000 for one of the 2 original Mankind shirts. And then he started getting nervous. AJ told me, like, the deals are all legitimate, you know? I mean, there might be, you know, some structure to the show, and, you know, there might be things that are not 100% legit. When it comes to the actual negotiation, that's 100% legit. And so he said, went over to AJ, said, how much do we have to spend? He said, $7,500. So they got the $7,500 for a shirt, and that I probably sold for 1/20th that, you know, in 98 when I think I got new shirts made in 97 because leather is not easy to work with, right? You know, when you have to wash it frequently. And he wouldn't budge at $7,500, and that's where I threw in the personal visit, so I could watch in your house, in his house. And so now I've got to go to Avon, Indiana on September 24th to watch wrestling with the guy. But these are the things you do. If Vinnie Mac tells you he wants it, we do whatever we can to do it. But aside from the Brody boots, I can't think of anything of anybody's that I would particularly, you know, there are other people who would love it more than I would. Okay?
Right there, another easy
Although,
throw.
you know what I hear is very, very valuable? That's somewhere hidden, and it's in black and white also because it's so aged, is an old VCR copy of Al Snow's Last Good Match. It doesn't exist? Okay, there you go.
Comes with the mannequin head.
That's right.
So you've been injured quite a few times. I'm actually a nurse. What's the best thing I can say to somebody who's going through serious recovery or injuries?
Just say Foley got through it, and so can you. I don't know. I mean, first of all, thank you for all you're doing. I know this can't be an easy time for you. Really difficult. So thank you for all you do. It's hard, you know, because sometimes these injuries are not of their own making like mine were. You know, I was, you know, injuries. I don't know what to tell people. I honestly don't know. You can say it's all going to be okay, but sometimes it's not. Is Slipknot fan there? Did you see Corey yet? Do you know he's a big fan of mine? Yeah, true story. Yeah.
And you know he's going to be here in December, so if you
Oh,
wanna-
it's in December.
Yeah,
that he's gonna be.
December.
Okay.
December.
Well, come back in December and tell him I said hello, okay?
All right, question right back here.
Oh, good. That's going to be a rough one. Oh, good one.
throw.
Not necessarily your favorite wrestler to wrestle against, but who is the best wrestler that you've ever wrestled against, and what makes them so good?
Man, that's a tricky question because the best wrestlers are usually my favorite wrestlers. Look, I was so lucky to have that like Murderers Row lineup. That's a reference to the 1927 Yankees. And as far as I know, nobody has ever actually murdered anybody that I. Wait, hold on. No, that's not true. Okay, we'll get back to that another time. But I had The Rock, I had Austin, I had Triple H, I had The Undertaker, I had Kane. So those 5 guys. But I guess the best wrestler I've ever seen is Terry Funk. That's Funk with an N, so I'm not dropping F-bombs on you. He was the best I've ever seen because he made it so easy to suspend disbelief. I don't care how smart a fan thought he was. Terry Funk would make you question what you thought you knew about wrestling. To the point where I'd be like a guest, a referee or something, I'd see him come out, and I said to the announcer, "You better run." He goes, "What?" I said, "You better run." He goes, "But I'm the announcer." I said, "You'd better run." And then he didn't run, and Terry punched him right in the head. And afterwards, the guy's got a big ice pack on his head, and he was like, "I can't believe he did that to me." I looked at him, I said, "What part of the words 'you better run' did you not understand?" So Terry, not just because he would punch ring announcer, but he made it really, really easy to believe. So for me, and he had amazing matches over the course of 40 years with people of all different styles. So to me, he was the very best.
Another question right up front here.
How you doing, Mick?
Good.
You got to hold that up and talk. It's not
Not a
magic.
problem. That'll work.
That's a microphone.
Fellow Long Islander.
A little closer.
Right up to your mouth.
And whatchamacallit, I have a two-sided question, real marky questions.
Okay.
First of all, after Hell in Cell, what would be your next 2 or 3 worst bumps? And after the Montreal Screwjob, when you walked out,
Yep.
what was your thought process? Were you thinking about never coming back, obviously, but I'm just saying, what was your thought process? We all know what happened, and,
Yeah.
and I'm just curious to see.
Raise
what
your
you were
hands
like.
if you're familiar with what the Montreal Screwjob is. Okay. All right, that just for those you don't know, that's the night that Vince McMahon screwed Bret Hart in Montreal. Not literally. Okay, just screwed him out of the title. Yeah, I did. I went back to my hotel room, and if I'd had my rental car, I would have left. I think I was living in Atlanta at the time. No, I was living in Florida at the time. I was really offended the fact they would do that to Bret. And I'm not naming names, but I thought there was going to be like 5 or 6 other guys who didn't show up either. So when I was watching the show the next night, and I'm like, oh, I'm the only guy not there. Like, 1 really is the loneliest number. And so I found out that I just breached my contract and wouldn't be able to work anywhere in the world for the next 5 years. And so I went back the next day. But my goal was to make some type of stand. I don't know what type of stand that was. It was a long time ago. But that was my goal. And what was the first part of the question?
After the Hell in a Cell bump, what?
Oh,
in
the
your
other
mind,
bumps?
What was the other 2 worst?
Oh, man. You know, I took a bump a year later or several months later against Kane in the Hell in a Cell where Undertaker pulled me off the halfway mark. And even though he's half the distance of the big one, the way I landed, I over-rotated a little bit and landed high on my shoulders and back of my head through the table. And that took some real doing to try to get back up and get back in there. And I would say just offhand, I used to take something called the Nesty plunge bump. Anyone know what that is? I'd go backward. Nobody's heard of the Nesty plunge bump? Okay. It's not advisable for anyone of any age, but I would go backwards off of a ring apron or some other structure backwards to the concrete, and it would shake the hell out of me. But on this one occasion, I think it was Spring Stampede 1994, the Nasty Boys tried to pile drive me on a table, and the table broke. So we had to come up with a plan B. So Sags, I think, shoved me off the ramp, and I had to turn in midair to land, and I landed more on one side than the other, and I ended up breaking a few ribs, and that was a really difficult injury to get over. So that was probably my third biggest bump.
All right, another question right up front here.
Hello.
Hello.
So first, I'd like to say that my first match I ever went to was the one with the cage match.
Can you prove it? I don't want to be mean to you like I was to that guy.
I just know.
You know why? Because I believe you.
Thank you. So, of all the wrestlers with WWE, and who's your closest friend?
Closest friend in WWE? Man, it's hard to say, you know? Social media makes it easier to keep in touch with people. Man. I'd say Becky Lynch is probably my closest friend. Yeah. And the one regret I had about my A&E documentary, which anyone see the documentary on A&E? Wait, this is a Mick Foley panel and only 8 people saw my... So I just wish I wish I'd said, you need to interview Becky Lynch, because it gives a different perspective, a female perspective, and I was somebody who inspired her. And considering she's the man in WWE, that's a really nice story. So really like that, you know. I really value all the baby photos she sends me, and she's just a great young lady. So I go with Becky Lynch, best friend. Final answer. There you go.
Got one right here.
Yeah, out of all the organizations you work for outside of the WWE, which would be your favorite?
Outside of the WWE, you think ECW is my favorite? Yeah. Those fans were so bloodthirsty, but that was a great place to work. You know, it was a great place to grow artistically. You had Paul Heyman kind of gave me free reign to do whatever I wanted, and he would give me the guidelines, and then I would feel free to. You know, it was like being handed a portrait and saying, just color within these lines, and then I could do whatever I wanted. So I did love it there. Loved cutting the promos, and got so much great experience. Man, I'd be hard-pressed to tell you, or I didn't like wrestling in Memphis. I did love wrestling in World Class, because that gave me an idea of what a full-time territory could be if I was allowed to kind of do things on my own, not do things on my own, be given the freedom to, you know, kind of grow as a character. And so the strides I took in World Class were huge. Among other reasons, guys like Eric Embry, who was the lead babyface, you know, he would be open to all my ideas, and he was great to work with. We had some great babyfaces to work with. Eric Embry, gentleman Chris Adams, Kerry Von Erich, Brickhouse Brown. There was just Jeff Jarrett. So there were some great good guys to work with, and I really enjoyed working there a lot.
All right, another question here.
Yeah, it is.
Hi there.
Hello.
I know you're not aware of a lot of the plot lines and things that are going on right now, but if I read an article a little while back that talked about Ric Flair turning the clock back and who he would like to feud with. So if you could turn the clock back, who would you like to feud with now in 2021?
Oh, if I could, of the current wrestlers, man, I would have loved to have feuded with the Fiend. I think that a Mankind Fiend feud would have been a psychological thriller. Kevin Owens would have been, a battle of the bowling pin body types. And I loved wrestling guys with the styles opposite of mine. I still maintain that if I'd been there in WWE in my prime and done Ricochet's first feud, that I could have made it mean something. I was really proud of the fact that I think I made almost everything I was in. And I'm not talking about match quality, but I like to think that when the programs were over, most of the guys that I wrestled with were worth more to the company than when they started. So that was always my goal. How can I make this person worth more than he was when we started? Okay.
All right, you got a question?
Out of all the characters you've been, which is your favorite?
Which is my favorite? It's funny because at the time I was Dude Love, that was absolutely, positively not my favorite character to do. But now that I'm on Cameo videos, it's absolutely my favorite video to do. So I don't know if any of you with Christmas coming up, if you want your favorite Christmas carol sung by Dude Love, or a birth, you want me to, I can't do it as Dude, but I will give you hot dogs roasting on your barbecue. Ow. Candles lighting up your cake. Oh my my. Mankind matches on an old VCR. You know that cell match wasn't fake. Oh, for goodness. And then I have about 17 different songs that I've written, and I love doing them as the Dude. But singing a song as Mankind is a completely different experience. So as crazy as it sounds, I loved being Cactus Jack, but I can't do that anymore, right? With the other guys, when I'm those characters, I can become those characters. With Cactus, I'm just an old guy with a wig. It just doesn't work. But while I was wrestling, it was Cactus Jack. After wrestling, in the years that followed, it was the latter-day Mankind, because I didn't realize how much happiness we were bringing to people, and especially how many people saw something of themselves in Mankind. So kids in school didn't feel like they quite fit in, they felt like they had a kindred spirit in Mankind. And now that the years have rolled by, I have warmed up to Dude Love considerably. So.
All right, I saw a question here.
Oh, good save.
Hi. Unfortunately, I do have to admit I'm one of the people that did not see your A&E documentary.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Okay.
But my question is about another wonderful documentary you made, I Am Santa.
Are any kids here?
We saw it.
Are there children here? Okay. Let's just speak in code word here, okay?
Right.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So my question, two-part question, one simple, yes or no. I was wondering if, in going through that process, if you continued to still do it, if you ever played Santa again, and also, okay.
I don't play Santa.
Oh, okay.
I am Santa.
And some of this was addressed in the documentary, but if there was something that wasn't, what did you learn about yourself as a man or as a performer in going through the process?
Yeah. Well, the answer is yes. I've done it every year since then. And if you want proof, when you have time, Google Bill Murray and Santa Claus. And if you see a very stern-looking Santa reprimanding a very naughty Bill Murray, that guy might look familiar. You know what? It's just great. It was a great process. I think the biggest. I remember seeing a couple on an elevator in New York City when we had our New York City premiere, and they asked. I don't know. We were on a high floor, and by the time we got down, I told them I was going to a premiere of a documentary. So they showed up at the premiere, and when we were taking questions, I said, look, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just saw this couple in the elevator, just want to know what you thought of it. And the one woman goes, I never knew how much it meant to these people. They thought it was just something you end up doing, not something you aspire to do. So not only do you aspire to do it, but if you take it seriously, you want to do it the best you possibly can. And I really tried to do that. So when I was portraying characters like Mankind and Cactus Jack, not Dude Love, because that was a different thing, but I had to be tougher and braver and more resistant, all these different attributes I had to make bigger and larger. When it comes to portraying Santa, you have to become someone gentler and kinder and more patient, and those are attributes that I would really like to continue to work on in my real life as well. So it's taught me the value of kindness and having the ability to create memories for children, that don't involve emergency room visits. So I can still create memories in a different way. So thanks. Yeah, it's really important to me. It's the first year I haven't grown the beard out, but I'm going to find a way. There are other ways to get that done. And I love, like last year I had COVID, so I couldn't get out there and do my thing, but I did Christmas Eve Zoom videos with Edge's children and Trish Stratus's children, and I probably write. Has anyone seen my Santa handwriting? Oh man, it's good. Have you seen it? It's nice, right? Yeah, like when I had my hip and knee replaced, that was my job. I worked on my handwriting 4 or 5 hours a day, and now it doesn't just look like Santa's handwriting. it is Santa's handwriting. And so I probably write 50 letters a year, and a lot of colleagues in WWE that have children, they get those letters. And, you know, I did a really nice one for The Rock and sent him a video. So I do. I love it. I take as much pride in doing that as I did in anything I did in the ring. So I'm still trying to make whatever I do as good as it can be.
Okay.
Except for my physique. So.
All right. I don't feel comfortable just handing this to someone now that we've been doing this. I got to throw. So.
There you go.
Hey, Mick. Did you have any ideas for personas or characters that you never got a chance to unveil?
Yes. Now, are you guys aware of Abyss? The wrestler Abyss?
Yes.
Okay. Abyss, he looked similar to Mankind, we could say, right? And I wanted to do a story in TNA where it has been revealed that Abyss had a love child who would be me. Just think of this name, right? Son of Abyss. You could print money with that thing, right? I just thought I would come in as if Eric Bischoff was like the heel, authority figure, and I just a reveal of the secret tag team partner come in for the big win. They hand the microphone to Eric Bischoff, and he goes, "Son of Abyss, son of Abyss," and it would have had a great 2-month arc, and never got done. So that's one of my big disappointments in life.
Let's nail one more question. You're headed back to your table, right?
Heading back to the table. Yeah, so if we can see some of you guys there. I do try to provide a good experience at the table. It's
All right, we
important
got a
to me.
question right here.
Ready? Awesome.
What would you say was one of your best plot lines and feuds you've ever been placed in?
Ooh, man. Well, I was lucky. I was a part of some good ones, you know, going back to my second run in WCW where I emerged out of a gift box and attacked Sting and dropped the most perfect elbow of my entire career at the perfect place. And so we were kind of off to the races there. Really enjoyed the long-term angle I got to do with Randy Orton, and I was very hands-on with that one in 2004. Still the best match I've ever had, and he considers it to be his best, unless he's changed his answer in the last couple of years. But that was so great because he was young and eager to do whatever it took, and I had to catch a red-eye flight home, and I got a concussion. I went to Tim Hortons. I lost a lot of weight for that match, about 60 pounds. So I rewarded myself with a Tim Hortons donut in Edmonton, ended up throwing up all over the parking lot because of the concussion. And I made it home in time to watch Raw the next night. And they announced Randy, and he was like a different person. They just saw something in him they'd never seen before. So that was a great one. I've been lucky that I've been a part of so many. Do you have one that sticks out that you really liked?
Whenever I was growing up, my favorite was just the Rock and Sock Connection.
Oh, the Rock and Sock Connection, right? It's just, I don't like to talk about that because it's kind of a tragic tale. You don't hear much about The Rock these days. But one time he seemed to have a world of potential, though. Just let it slip away.
Mm-hmm.
Are you recording this whole thing? Why? You know what? I'd appreciate it if you don't. Could you put it down? Okay. Because you know what? When I did this thing with Lita, we said the more people record it and put it out there, the less special it makes the in-person experience to be. And especially when you're recording from there and you're doing a 45-minute Q&A, it doesn't look good. And I appreciate it if you don't do that.
And one thing we want to mention before you go, it's obviously always great to have you here. A bit of a sad story, but we want to thank you for what you did last time. It was last time you were here. You brought a little guy on stage by the name of Hayden. You said he was his favorite wrestler. You brought him up there. You got a photo with him. It was a real high spot of his life. He passed away in an automobile accident not that long ago. His parents contacted us and said those pictures of you and him really keep them going. So what you do is very important on a lot of different levels here.
Really
and we want to thank you so much.
So sorry to hear of that loss. Can I tell you, there's a happier ending to this story. I saw a young lady. I was here 4 years ago, right?
Correct.
and there was a young lady, and let me just look around. She had red hair, and she was crying because she had she got to the front of the line to meet. Trying to think, it was one of the girls from Charmed, one of the actresses from Charmed. It wasn't Shannon Doherty.
Yeah.
It was the one who was not Alyssa Milano, and Shannon Doherty. Yeah, that's Holly Marie Combs. And I only knew Holly Marie in passing, but the young lady was crying because she forgot her thing. And I told her if she came back the next day with it, I would do my very best to make sure it got signed. And so I asked Holly for a favor, and it really made the young lady's day. And so when you see a smile light up like that, and somebody says, they leave, and there are definitely experiences when you're here at these conventions, because you generally have more time than you would at a post-show meet and greet. Like when I do my own events, maybe it's like a minute tops. But here, especially as a father of an autistic child, for example, that's me, autism dad, I can generally tell when someone can use a little more time, and I'm free to give it to them because I'm here today for several hours, tomorrow for 8 or 9 hours, and nobody minds when they see you spending a little extra time with somebody who could probably need it. So maybe take 2 more questions?
Two more questions. Anything you want, we owe you.
I want to see that cube go way out into the audience.
There you go. Let her rip.
I want to see you body surf that thing around.
For all you do, this one's for you.
So
Let her go.
In the back needs it.
Get it?
All right, ready? Here we go.
There you go. Hit the cutoff, man. There you go.
Hi, Mick.
Hello.
This one is for my brother. He wanted me to ask you, what's your favorite Owen Hart story?
My favorite Owen Hart story. Oh, man. I've been asked about Owen Hart ribs so often, and so I told a lot of those stories about the ribs, but I instead just like to think about, he was someone who constantly talking about his children. That's really what we bonded over. And I remember asking Brett, telling Brett, Brett, you know what the biggest compliment to my friendship with Owen was? I said, I have no idea what he thought of me as a wrestler. And it wouldn't have mattered because I had a very different style than Owen's, and my style wasn't for everyone. And it wouldn't have mattered if I found out he thought I was awful, because he was one of my very best friends in wrestling and in life. And then Brett had to ruin it for me by telling me that Owen thought highly of me as a wrestler. But I remember when I was driving with Terry Funk and I was telling him about these stories, the storytelling shows I was doing, and that I'd been to Calgary. And Terry said, "Oh, really? Did any of the Harts attend your show?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "How many, Cactus?" And I said, "I think there were 18. And he stops, he puts his hand on me, and he goes, "There were 18 members of the Hart family there? Do you know what kind of a compliment that is?" And I said, "Terry, there were family members who don't talk to each other and sat at different parts of the room, but they were there supporting me." And then the next time I went, there were 23 family members. So I'm considered something of an honorary Hart member, and I think Owen's niece, Lindsay, said one of the nicest things to me ever. She left a note for me. She said, "I think part of the reason that I like spending time with you is you remind me so much of my Uncle Owen, and it feels like I'm spending time with him." That's a nice story, right? All right. One last question.
One last
All right,
question.
he's got it right here.
Go for it.
Hey, Mick Foley. Buffy Carter's.
He wants to know if you remember meeting him at the Crosscutters.
At the Crosscutters, the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
That was a while ago, though, right?
And my mom told me you're your favorite place at your WWE.
Where's your favorite place to wrestle? Your favorite state or venue?
Yeah.
I mean, besides Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Oh, look, I did, honestly, because of the history I have. I trained in Beaver County with Dominic DeNucci, and so I spent most of my junior and senior year of college traveling back and forth. I think it was a 700-mile round trip. And I had claimed, I'm going to curse here, just one curse. Is that okay? I did not tell my college housemates that I was training to be a wrestler because I didn't think they'd be very encouraging. I thought that there would be a negative energy. And they finally confronted me because I'd concocted a story about having a girlfriend in Pittsburgh. and they concocted, they confronted me like it was an intervention. They were like, okay, you claim to have a girlfriend in Pittsburgh. She never calls you. You never call her. You leave every Friday. You come back on Sunday. You smell like shit. You got 2 sleeping bags in your back seat, fast food wrappers everywhere. Come back with a different bruise each weekend. Okay, what's your point? And they said, we think you're wrestling. And I wasn't ready to admit yet that I was wrestling. And it wasn't until I came back and I'd had my first match was, I think, June 26, 1986 against Kurt Kaufman in Clarksburg, West Virginia, in front of 300 people. So let's hear it for Clarksburg. And then my second match was in front of 17,000 people as an extra, getting beaten up by the British Bulldogs. And I mean for real beaten up. I couldn't chew solid food for 3 weeks after that. And then I had another match with the Killer Bees. So I went back to college. I had 3 matches under my belt. And then I admitted that I'd been training that whole time. And so Pittsburgh has always been, not just because of the history I have here and because I had the biggest match of my career, fans have always, they've continued to be supportive. Like whenever I do a tour and I do the one-man shows, it's always Pittsburgh with the most tickets sold right off the bat. I've got a show November 3rd, but it's sold out. But check out the website. We might be adding a second show. And aside from that, another Pennsylvania town I love was Hershey, because before they built the Giant Center, I could go out and I could tour with my kids. Believe it or not, when I was Mankind, up until a certain point when we revealed Dude Love and Cactus Jack, a lot of the WWE fans did not know what I looked like underneath the mask unless they'd been WCW fans. So I would tour Hershey Park, and then I would go in through the back gate, and those were some of the best times of my life. And I'd also have to say Madison Square Garden, because that's where I grew up hitchhiking to and taking trains to. And so being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in Madison Square Garden was one of the big benefits, big moments of my life. Up until today, when I see every single member of this panel lined up, embarrassing Carl Weathers, Robert Englund, they're going to be like, even if you don't buy anything, if you just show up and get this whole place talking about, yeah, how the most popular guest of all was that retired wrestling guy. So we can make that happen. But I always love being here. I really do. Way more than other towns I claim the same thing about. And I do hope to see some of you. I see a few guys with belts, right? This gentleman here, I signed his Christmas book. Pretty cool, right? So thanks for, it's been over 30 years of support in some cases. Thanks so much.
And once again, we'd like to thank you so much for what you did for Hayden last time you were here. So thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mick Foley.
Hey, this is Alex Malari Jr., and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Your Emperor commands it. Thanks for watching.